Let's begin with the foundations. Welcome to another lecture. I am Professor Alexei, and today we consider a most contemporary case study in global sport, the professional life and influence of OG Anunoby Jr. In this context, we will examine how a single athlete can function as a conduit across systems, leagues, and cultures, while also contributing tangible on-court value measured in the very cold arithmetic of basketball metrics.
Hi everyone, I'm Priyanka. I'm excited for this one because, we sometimes talk about ideas in the abstract, and OG is a very concrete example. A real person who, I think, shows us how a pathway can cross borders and still make complete sense.
To frame our discussion, OG is like a bridge connecting British, Nigerian, and American basketball cultures. He was born in Harlesden, London, to Nigerian parents of Igbo descent. He relocated at age 4 to the United States, and he became, in due course, a prominent National Basketball Association player. It's important to understand the technical role he occupies on court. He is what we term a two-way wing, that is to say, a perimeter forward tasked with guarding multiple positions on defense while supplying efficient, low-turnover scoring on offense. Before we get to the complexities, a few terms. The NBA, of course, is the premier North American league. The all-defensive team honors the best defenders annually. OG has twice been selected to the second team, in 2023 and again in 2026. A steals leader is the player who averages the most steals per game during a regular season. OG led the entire league in 2022-23, the first Raptor and the first British player to do so. Plus minus is the team point differential while a player is on the floor. Here OG holds a curious distinction, a record-setting plus minus of plus 170 across his first 10 games as a New York Knick in January 2024. Mathematically, that is a very loud signal of on-court fit, even after we account for small sample noise.
I guess that helps set the frame. So if two-way wings are scarce resources, then teams price them highly because they can guard 1 through 4 and still hit threes. And the numbers you mentioned are proof that he actually does that at scale.
Moving forward, why does this matter beyond a stat sheet? In Britain, basketball occupies a smaller share of the sporting mind compared to football, cricket, or rugby. Yet OG's ascent, becoming the first British NBA champion with Toronto in 2019, leading the league in steals, and sustaining all defensive recognition, creates a credible pathway narrative for youths in London, Manchester, Glasgow, and beyond. Historically, international players were undervalued by portions of the NBA before global scouting matured. OG's story sits in the post-globalization era, where identification, development, and transatlantic mobility are increasingly normalized.
Isn't it interesting how the symbols matter as much as the wins? Like a British-born player lifting the Larry O'Brien trophy, even after an appendectomy kept him off the finals floor. It still sends a message that the door is open.
Let's start with the history. Full name, Ogugua OG Anunoby Jr. English by nationality, Nigerian by heritage, and as it were, thoroughly Americanized in his basketball education. He moved to Jefferson City, Missouri at age 4. He attended Jefferson City High School. As a senior, he averaged 19.1 points and 8.6 rebounds per game, and was a finalist for Missouri Mr. Basketball. He committed to Indiana University in October 2014, favoring a Big Ten developmental track. He became a high-motor, defense-first forward before a right knee injury in January 2017 curtailed his sophomore campaign. This logically leads us to the professional era. He declared for the draft in April 2017, and was selected 23rd overall by the Toronto Raptors in June. By November of his rookie season, he was starting and posting elite efficiency for a first-year wing. In 2019, after an emergency appendectomy in April, he dressed but did not play in the finals. Toronto still won the title, making him the first British NBA champion. In September 2020, he hit a playoff buzzer beater against Boston, an inflection point in his clutch resume. Later that year, in December, he signed a 4-year, $72 million extension with Toronto. In 2022-23, he led the NBA in steals and received all defensive second-team honors. In December 2023, he was traded to the New York Knicks, debuted in January 2024 with 17 points, and promptly authored that remarkable plus-minus run. He re-signed with New York in July 2024 on a 5-year, $212.5 million contract. He posted a career-high 18.0 points per game in 2024-25, and in May 2026, he was again named All-Defensive Second Team.
And along the way, he became a minority stake owner in the London Lions in 2023. I think that investment says, we are not only exporting talent, we are also building at home.
Speaking of home, a brief personal note. I watched his 2020 buzzer beater while proctoring a late-night grading session. One student asked whether the parabola of the shot could be modeled. We can infer that good arc plus calm nerves will beat most defensive rotations. In simpler terms, even the professor cheered, albeit quietly, to maintain the sanctity of the exam room. Next, let's explore 3 big questions. First, what if OG Anunoby had not suffered the 2017 knee injury? Second, what if he had been fully healthy for Toronto's 2019 playoff run? Third, what future impacts could he catalyze in British basketball ecosystems? Each question isolates a different domain: development, tactics, and institutions. Big question 1. The 2017 knee injury. Before the setback, he carried preseason All-American buzz. His defensive tape displayed switchability, length, and anticipation, while his offensive portfolio was nascent but efficient in defined roles. The injury truncated the sample and introduced medical uncertainty, yet front offices still selected him in the first round, 23rd overall. This indicates that teams weighted his scalable defense so highly that even a negative medical prior did not erase his draft capital.
I'm curious about how teams usually treat those injuries in the draft. Like, do we see big discounts, or does elite defense kind of override the risk profile if the projections are strong enough?
It's crucial to understand that injury risk is amortized over role scarcity. Elite point of attack and wing defenders are scarce. If medical evaluations suggest full functional recovery within the rookie contract window, teams will accept variance. The calculus is probabilistic. A defender with plus length, lateral movement, and instincts has a high floor in a switching scheme. Offense can be added modularly through shooting development. In OG's case, the Raptors' development infrastructure and patience produced exactly this outcome. Indeed, by 2019-20, he was playing roughly 30 minutes per game, with near 39% three-point accuracy and expanding playmaking. Counterfactually, without the injury, he might have gone higher, perhaps into the teens or even the lottery, though we should maintain epistemic humility about precise alternate draft slots. Big question 2. The 2019 playoff run. Toronto's pathway, Orlando, Philadelphia, Milwaukee, Golden State, was defined by defensive execution and timely shot-making. OG's emergency appendectomy in April removed a 6'7", 6'8" switch defender from the rotation. He dressed for the finals but did not play. Tactically, his presence could have redistributed defensive possessions. Consider, for example, additional minutes on Jimmy Butler or Tobias Harris against Philadelphia. Supplementary reps on Chris Middleton, Malcolm Brogdon, or even as a helper tagging Giannis's drives versus Milwaukee. And in the finals, minutes absorbing Klay Thompson or functioning as a low-man helper versus the Warriors' split action.
So, I think the next thing we should talk about is his exact tactical role. Would he have been more of a corner spacer with back cuts or a primary stopper to conserve Kawhi and Siakam for offense?
To elaborate, in Nick Nurse's scheme, he likely would have been a low-usage offensive spacer. Corner threes, 45 cuts, secondary transition lanes, while defensively toggling across matchups to preserve Kawhi Leonard and Pascal Siakam for high-leverage possessions. He also excels at the low-man role, rotating from the weak side to contest at the rim without fouling, and turning deflections into live ball turnovers. That profile maps neatly onto 2019 Toronto's identity. Would the macro outcome change? Perhaps not, given that the Raptors did win, but OG's personal finals ledger likely includes rotation minutes and cumulative plays that compound reputation. Legacies are path-dependent. This particular path granted him a ring, but not the finals film that typically anchors historical memory. Big question 3, future impact on British basketball. We observe a player explicitly articulating a goal to inspire British youth to the NBA and operationalizing it via investment. A minority stake in the London Lions in 2023 and continued visibility as a leading British figure in the league. The mechanisms of influence are multi-level. Inspiration at the individual level, infrastructure at the club and league level, and pipelines at the developmental level, including scholarships, showcases, and transatlantic partnerships.
Can we maybe now look at the main barriers for British players? I mean, if someone listening is 15 in Birmingham, what stops them from being seen? And what would we change first?
Fundamentally, access and exposure. First, facilities and scheduling. Fewer year-round indoor courts and limited competitive volume constrain development. Second, coaching depth and standardized curricula, particularly for skill acquisition between ages 12 and 16. Third, visibility to scouts. Without dense AAU-style circuits or high-exposure tournaments, prospects lack film against elite peers. Solutions are tractable. For example, NBA Basketball England collaborations could institutionalize annual combines in London and Manchester. Exchange programs linking London Lions and select EABL academies with NBA teams' player development staffs for summer residencies. Scholarship pipelines to U.S. prep schools or NCAA mid-majors, and broadcast or streaming partnerships to surface U18 and U20 competitions to an international audience. OG's dual platform, active NBA player and British club investor, positions him as a credible convener for these initiatives.
Maybe it's just me, but the plus-minus story in New York feels like a teaching tool. You could imagine a clinic where the lesson is, if you're spacing in defense travel, coaches trust you. And trust is a scarce currency in every league.
As we continue, a few closing threads worth noting. OG's resume includes 2 all-defensive second teams, a League Steals title, a historic British milestone with the 2019 championship, and sustained playoff utility, including 2025 postseason averages of 2 steals and over 1 block per game across 18 starts. He pairs this with professional continuity, re-signing with the Knicks in 2024 on a long-term deal, and with symbolic actions at home through the London Lions. It is arguably a portfolio that blends metrics and meaning in equal measure. To summarize, OG Anunoby is a two-way NBA wing whose biography bridges Britain, Nigeria, and the United States. We examined how an early knee injury shaped but did not derail his trajectory, how a 2019 absence altered matchups but not a championship outcome, and how his present platform could catalyze British basketball development. For those intrigued by the broader canvas, study the rise of international players in the NBA and the economics of scouting networks after globalization. This then completes our present analysis. Thank you for listening to another lecture.
So, I guess that kind of sums it up. Thank you, Professor, and thank you to everyone listening. See you next time.